Hello everyone and welcome back to another Unifiber knowledge video. Today, as you can see, we're going to be talking about mast extensions. We're going to be talking about whether you want to go RDM, SDM, whether you want to go aluminium or carbon, or what pulley system you want to use to get the most out of your windsurfing. Okay, so the first thing to consider when buying a mast extension is the mast that you have. Obviously the extension is going inside the mast and it has to fit the right hole. So there are two main options you have. You have the RDM, which is the reduced diameter mast, and you have the SDM here. Traditionally, the RDM goes on the smaller sizes of sails and the SDM on the bigger, but it's basically the most important thing is to know what mast you have so that you buy the right extension. So the next thing to consider when buying your mast extension is the tube type, and the tube type is this section of your extension here. There are two main options. You've either got carbon or aluminium. So the carbon extension here is lighter and more rigid, however it is a bit more expensive, and if it did break it would snap instead of bend, and what this means is that it can take the rest of your gear with you. So whether it be your sail or your mast, that could actually cause more damage than its counterpart here, the aluminium one, which if it did happen to break would bend instead of snapping, which would mean it would be easier for you to get back to the beach. The aluminium one is slightly heavier, but is more of a budget option, so something to consider there. I don't think you would feel the effects of the carbon extension unless you had a carbon boom and mast, and then the combination of the three would actually help the performance of your rig. Otherwise, I would just stick to your standard aluminium extension. So the next thing to consider is the base of your extension and what material that's made out of.
So I'm holding here the non-reinforced nylon base. It is a light and durable, but probably the least heavy duty of all of the options. So if you're sailing with sails with high downhaul tension or maybe competitive foil sails, this might be an extension to avoid. But for the guys with kids or using smaller sails, this is a perfect economic option for you to use.
The next option we have is the reinforced nylon version. This is slightly more heavy duty and is resistant to your wear and tear, and is a little bit heavier than the previous one I've just picked up. And then the last one is the stainless steel. Now this extension is the least susceptible to corrosion and is a little bit heavier and as a result more expensive, but it's the most heavy duty and high performance material that your base can be made out of. Another aspect of the base of your extension is the pulleys that go into it. So make sure you check on the bottom of your sails how many pulleys you have, and you can match the rollers and the pulleys. Traditionally, the more rollers and pulleys you have, the easier it is to pull on downhaul. If you are someone who's struggling to pull on the downhaul, that's not a problem. We have a video on all our downhaul tools. We'll leave the link in the description of this video. Check it out. So on a little side note, if you've noticed that the pulleys on your sail aren't sat in the traditional perpendicular, they're sat parallel to the foot of your sail, and this makes it harder to thread your extension, then you can actually get an extension with the pulleys also rotated, called the cross-section pulley, and this makes everything slightly smoother and less likely for you to damage the ropes on your extensions. And then onto the collars of the extension, this section here, which moves up and down depending on which sail you're using and the setting you want. There are a few different types. The first one here, we just open up and it slides up and down, and then you just close the clamp at your desired height. The second here is a little bit more standard. It pops up and you pull the pin out. You can then move it up and down, pop the pin where you want it, and slide the collar down over the pin. And the last one, you have the two little holes on either side. You just push up and it unlocks it. You can then twist it around, slide it up and down the extension, and then clip it back in at your desired height. Personally, this is my favorite system as it's the most efficient. These ones are also very good, however, make sure you take the pin out after your sessions, in between sessions, otherwise it can get corroded and get stuck in the holes, especially if you don't sail very often. And the last one is also a good option, however I find it's a little bit more flimsy and flexible and it feels a little bit less solid in the bottom of my sail. So talking about the lengths, there are different lengths, I've got them on my table here. As you can see, I've got 46, 30 and some extensions go down to 15. So it's important to pair up your extension length to your desired requirements depending on the kit that you have. Now it's important, you can see that the holes go up in different increments. So here they go 2, 4, 6, 8, they go up in 2s, whereas on other extensions they sometimes go up 5, 7.5, 10, so up in 2.5s. Now, this is kind of down to your personal preference, but if you're really into fine-tuning your gear and your downhaul, then going in smaller increments will help you with that. Okay guys, and the last thing to talk about when it comes to your extension is actually how it connects to your base and essentially your board. So there are two different types. The universal type is the most solid and most standardly used at the moment on the market. As you can see, it's just one pin and it comes in and out. You also have the US pin, which funny enough comes from America. The system is you just press 2 buttons on the side and then it will release. A little bit more complicated, but actually the extension is less prone to wear and tear. So guys, that's everything on extensions. As you can see, there's a huge variety of shapes and sizes, but the most important thing is to look at the equipment that you have and make a decision based on that. We really hope you enjoyed this video. For more information, please head over to unifiber.net where you'll find similar videos, and we'll see you in the next one.